Welcome to our webinar. I am Kim Look with Ozone Training Academy. I think everybody generally knows me. You get all my emails. I generally do ozone training, or at least that's kind of the niche that I've built myself around. That said, we're all providers and have medical practices where we have to do things outside of just performing really cool services like ozone IVs. And it's often a challenge for providers because it's not what you're good at per se. It's not what you went to school for. And now I feel like it's growing. It's not like I feel like this. Pete can attest to it. I think he's told me like there's a new app or new AI technology or whatever that's coming out like every 2 weeks. Um, and if you're as old as me, it starts to be, I think I'm on that curve of like technologically challenged with AI. Like it's just coming out so fast, it's hard to keep up with. And while we do ozone training and we do IV training, there's also so many things that we need to do in our practices to make that go, right? I have been in practice. I've owned lots of practices. Even in the current business I have, I would say most of business is marketing and sales, right? You could have the coolest services, you could have tons of education and knowledge. If your people, your patients, your clients, your customers don't buy it, they don't know you have it, then it goes nowhere. And my ultimate goal, my ult what I feel my value is in this industry is helping patients, helping consumers, helping clients and customers get good health service and health information. But in order for that to happen, we have to run good businesses. So we've been marketing to you about this webinar in terms of utilizing AI. I have been a little bit afraid of everything besides ChatGPT and a couple of others. But I met Pete probably close to a year ago now through Wealth Factory.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it was earlier this year. It was probably February, March. Wealth Factory is a phenomenal company. At MedMasters, I interviewed their CEO, Norm Westerfelt, and I work with them. I am one of their clients to build, their wealth management, everything from taxes to business services to financial planning to estate planning to investments. Like they do all of it, and I would really recommend them as well. But anyway, Pete was working there at the time. Norm's definitely a friend, but more importantly, a confidant to me, a mentor to me. And so I was over in their building in Salt Lake, kind of shadowing them and spending the day with them, and I met Pete there. And Pete kind of had a slightly different role there, but I listened to one of their webinars Pete was on, and he was introducing AI for business services. And so for me at Ozone Training Academy, I could identify two gaps that I had, two areas where I was just like falling short or can't get enough done or can't get enough production to be able to sell or market or walk away even, right? Sleep at night. And so I reached out to Pete to say, how can AI help? Because I know it can. I'm overwhelmed with trying to figure it out on myself, on my own. And I'll tell you, the two things for me were creating content. As you know, we do all the training videos and we do presentations and we have all the PDFs and we have all the materials on specific topics. And I make them okay, but the editing process and getting them up to where you all can see them has bogged us down. And so that was one of the areas, like, so as video content, it was, product production. The other gap I had was answering emails, phone calls, and texts in a timely manner, but also just I know that I'm losing some through the cracks. And so those are the two challenges I went to Pete with. And as we were meeting and talking both with him and his partner, Rick, who's fantastic too, a lot of things came up, and he actually has some clients that are like us in terms of like you guys in terms of providers and shared some really cool things with me. So I thought this is definitely something that's everybody's aware of now, right? It's not going anywhere. AI is something we can utilize. We have to learn how to utilize it to make the most out of it. But the reality is the time it can save us is like just something that I don't know, it just impresses me for sure. And that, therefore, is the reason why we have to learn it. It's because we'll get left in the dust without it. And it can just fill almost any gap in our business that we want it to with the right support. And so I invited Pete to be on with us today to kind of give some ideas to you guys about how you can utilize AI in your practice. And there's so many different ways. Even before we let you all in, we were chatting about some random things, and it's just like, Pete can make PowerPoints in 5 minutes, which I've started to use some different AIs for that, videos in 5 minutes, content. So, anyway, there's a little background to how I'm using AI, the gaps that I have been seeing in my business where I felt like there's got to be some sort of solution. And Pete can get a little bit more into his professional career and how he got here, but he is an AI expert using all the tools. Managing all the tools and helping businesses like ours utilize the tools too. And I don't think you have to be an expert in AI to do that. That's why you work with the experts who can guide you. I think that Pete will have to get into this, but I think there's an element of helping. And then there's an element of I'm just paying Pete $2,500 a month to do a task for me to get my emails and texts and stuff going because it's not ever going to be me, I don't think, to where I'm going to be the one mastering AI, right? I want him to tell me what tools I need for which applications, help me set it all up and help it work the way it's supposed to. So anyway, without further ado, here is Pete, and he's going to tell us a lot about the just the platform that AI is and some of the tools that we can use. Oh, before I forget, I don't have the chat working in this level of Zoom, but the Q&A level is. So you guys should see at the bottom your Q&A button. And we're going to do this more like a podcast and interview style. So I would love to have you guys post your questions in there. Both Pete and I can see those. We can answer them in real time because you may have different gaps in your practices that we can ask Pete about tonight. And you should be able to get some actionable steps, if nothing else, to meet with Pete later on and find out how their company Exit Loop AI can help you guys. So use that Q&A section. All right, Pete, that was long enough. It's
Awesome.
your turn.
Excellent. Well, I'll give a little background and bio on who I am and how I got here. Um, so back in 1984, no, just kidding.
You're not that old, are you?
No, like most careers, right? I graduated with a degree in business management, marketing, and culinary arts, and had my eyes on going to culinary school. And because I was the kid that owned an easy bake oven and all that type of stuff growing up, and that was my passion, and it still is. But somewhere along the way, divine intervention kicked in, and I ended up working in marketing agencies. And then I started my own web development company. And then I ran a couple of marketing agencies myself and found that I always gravitated towards the operational side of marketing, not the creative and ad side of thing. I actually loathed that. And eventually I just became a fractional COO for companies. And then I got hired into an insurance agency to run their ops. And then I got brought on as a fractional COO for a clinic, and it just kind of went from there. And then AI popped off, and I saw that for what it is in terms of helping us take operations and really accelerate them, right? Because operations is all about bringing clarity from chaos, right? And so that's where Exit Loop developed. I was doing this on my own, and as a contractor, and then Rick and Norm and I formed a company and made it a formal thing, and have been just having a lot of fun along the way. Like, this is a lot of fun. One of my favorite things is just to jam out on what can AI do for your business, right?
I know that's what I feel like you're gonna do. I even get that vibe or that bug, that enthusiasm sometimes when you mess with it, right? Like I've
Yeah.
used even just ChatGPT and Grok and some other ones just to refine SOPs or to help me create some PowerPoints. And it has to come out of your head, but the time, like it's so much fun to feed it and have it talk back to you and then feed it a little bit more and have it talk back to you. And the amount of time you save, it's like it was so worth figuring this out because
Mm-hmm.
it's it's actually fun if you can because
Yeah.
it's such a cool product. And I know you were selling me that too, is like because I was worried about video, right? And you're like, does it sound like you? Does it look like you? Does it? And you're like, oh my gosh, this is making such advancements that most people can't tell what's real and what's not real anymore. Which whether or not you agree with that, because I think we all came into this like, oh, we don't know about AI. And I'm still one of those where I'm like, this could be misused, right? All of it could be a scary thing. But the type of product you can get in the little amount of time you get is really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about the ethical considerations of things. We could talk about that as well, but another time, because that's crazy. We can focus on the good of it today. Because I look at AI kind of like electricity, right? Like when electricity came around, it was a world changing invention, right? In that, yeah, a lot of jobs were displaced. Like we no longer have ice delivery or lantern lighters or street lamp, a lot of those things that just went. But then a lot of new jobs came out of it as a result of having electricity. You could run factories 24/7. Like the amount of economic production boom that happened really pushed, in my opinion, the United States to the superpower that it is globally, right? Like there's all these things that happened, all these advancements, that led up to the internet being like another world changing technology, right? And now AI, I think, is on the same par. And it's exciting because I'm 41. And so I've lived through a couple of these once in a lifetime events, right? Where it's the birth of the internet, and then the birth of these other types of like social media, and then the birth of AI, and the birth, like there's all these little events that we're like, this is crazy to see how it is. But now we're able to recognize it for what it is, having lived through
And
those
we can't live without
experiences.
it. Even as old
Yeah.
people thought we would never do social media. I was like, I'm never getting a cell phone. Like, I'm not doing that. And then,
Yep.
now you can't live without it. Like, it's all of
Yeah.
it's just hooked. And even if you don't partake, you have to figure out some of it for business, which we're all entrepreneurs. And so, um, there are not only the ethical sides of this, Pete, for everybody listening, but then the HIPAA part of it, and just the medical part of it. I know that that would be
Mm-hmm.
a curiosity for some people. Is like how would you get so specific and niched into what we can do, and then um, also to keep it compliant. Like at this point, you can't run an ad on Facebook that says you're doing stem cells. You probably can't even put that on your website. So, you know, there of course in our industry, as I'm sure every industry has their nuances that way, there's going to be, how do we make sure that this is feeding us or making us a product or doing something that's going to make sure that we stay compliant within our industry. But I have to say there's two things that really stuck out to me when we were first talking. And one of them was just the capacity of AI to do really interesting things in business. So again, I mentioned like one of my gaps was I feel like I need like an assistant, like an admin
Yeah.
assistant. But also, and this is the way I describe it. Tell me if this is wrong, but the way I understand it, I'm like, I got all these emails coming in, I got these phone calls coming in, I got these texts coming in. And let's just talk about email at first. And most of them are on the same topic, right? Ozone training or IV training. And I'm responding with some frequently answered questions, right? Like frequently
Yeah.
asked questions, frequently answered questions. And when I'm telling you this, you're like, we could set up a system that could go in and figure out what those frequently asked questions are and create like an AI persona of you, Kim, or a receptionist of you, or automatic responses of you that will actually think through the response, knowing the patterns in your own email content, and be able
Mm-hmm.
to act as an admin assistant that's almost more like you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, done. What is that? I don't even care what that's going to cost me. Because, like,
Yeah.
how would that be if each of us had like 10 of ourselves? I mean,
Yep.
is that
Yeah.
is that the way this could work?
Yeah, to varying degrees, right? Like I always, as I was building my previous businesses, I was like, I wish I could just clone myself, right? And now you kind of can. in different aspects. But yeah, speaking specifically to like emails and incoming communications, yeah, you can. So the great thing about AI is it's just pattern recognition super powered. Like it's able to, and all of our communication is nothing more than a pattern, right? Like how you communicate and how I communicate are completely different signature patterns, right? So that's a good thing. We can teach AI then to sound like us, to look like us, and to respond like us. Um, and what you can do is you can connect incoming messaging sources. So that could be email, it could be SMS, it could be Facebook, it could be WhatsApp, whatever it is, right? And then you can have it come to a bot. It could be Kim AI, it could be Pete AI, it could be whatever you want it to be. And then you give it a knowledge base, aka its brain, and it's constrained to that knowledge base to answer questions accordingly, right? And so in an email scenario, it's very possible, and I've built this out before, to just have it so that every time an email comes in, AI analyzes it and drafts a response for you. And then your emails now take half the time because you just have to go through and edit instead of create, right? And since it's got every time your email comes in, it can learn from how you're responding or learn from your entire inbox, right? That's what like OpenAI and oh shoot, Perplexity are the two that launched browsers just recently, and those browsers are integrated into your inbox, and they're working towards just making that a native thing where as you use their version of browsers, it learns about how you communicate through your email because it's in your inbox, and drafts responses. It can serve up questions, it can do all sorts of stuff. It's like super powered search as well. So there's all sorts of cool things that you can do just from that point of view. But also on a business standpoint, a lot of the things businesses deal with are just plain old interruptions, like calls to find out when are you open, when are you closing, or things along like where are my prescriptions. Like we've got a client who's a functional medicine clinic, and they get all these questions like when, like where are my prescriptions, or when is my appointment, or whatever it is.
Did
And
my
instead of
labs come back? Did
yeah,
my imaging come in? Like all
yep,
the,
yeah, exactly. And you can have an AI field those calls for you, um, and give them a fast response instead of, hey, let me like take a note or make a task and we'll get back to you, right? And then having that delay, like people want that instant gratification, and AI can actually help provide that. And all in all, that's better customer service. So you can do that via chat, you can do that via voice, you can do it via pretty much any communication channel. AI can process whatever the transcription is and then formulate a response. And so it's super, super helpful. We just launched with this functional medicine clinic. We turned on their website chat, and now the website chat's answering all those questions of like, where are my labs, what do you guys do, this talk to me about this therapy, all this stuff. And they have tons of information on their website, and their website has become the knowledge base that
hmm.
we've trained the AI on. And so it answers all of those questions, right? And that's where they have all their information about what are stem cells, what are peptides, where are all these different things, right? and and so they get lots of information. And the cool thing is we can train the bot to be either aggressive at setting appointments or friendly and helpful, or give it a different type of personality, right? Or sneaky. I like to build the sneaky bots, and what I mean by that is it gets a name and then it answers and converses, and then it gets an email and then it answers, converses, and then it gets it. So
Ah.
little by little you capture this lead information, and then not only that, we have the context of the conversation, and we can drop that then into a marketing machine or a follow-up machine. And I say machine because it's just a bunch of workflows that are powered by AI to say, essentially it looks at what it is, the conversation, and then says, let's put them in this workflow, or let's put them in this workflow, let's put them in this workflow. Like they asked about stem cell treatment or red light therapy or Myers bags, IVs, or whatever it is, right? Like, and we've got all these workflows that we build out that are educational workflows on, here's the benefits of this for you, that, and the other. So that's
So there's
also how
two
you,
questions.
yeah, go
There's
ahead.
two questions that come to mind if I can remember them, because I'm like, I'm so infatuated with what you're saying about this in so many different ways. But one is, I think, like right off the bat, and I think I asked this of you, is like, but this response is human. It's like the person on the other end is okay with this. You know, like
Mhm.
people are receptive to whatever this sounds like. I'm sure we've all actually probably been consumers of it, we don't even know it
Yep.
because it's so human-like. But, I think that's the thing that we worry about not having a human on the end of something is like, can it really think well enough? Does it really know my business well enough? Does it really know my patients well enough? And is it giving accurate information back, or is it going to frustrate people because they know they're talking to an AI bot, just like now it's like we're talking to a recording. And we're
Hmm.
kind of like, can we just get to a human being who can answer my question? I think those of us that are old enough, which is everybody on here, like that's our experience with automation sometimes. And so you get really nervous about turning your patients over to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all we know is the past, right? We don't, and so that's what we have to base our current feelings on, is the past experiences we've
Yeah.
had with clunky IVR systems and speech to text, like all that type of stuff that we just loathe. The great thing about AI voice and AI chat is that it has gotten really, really good at being conversational. And what that means is it can pause, it can giggle, it can actually make all the sounds that we make as a human. And that actually puts you at ease because you feel like you're talking to a human, even though you know it's an AI, right? The other thing is, and there's a debate about this, but we test it and it just depends on the customer's preferences for um, each clinic. But some of them will just say flat out, I'm a digital assistant and I'm here to help you, right? uh if you want to talk to a human, just say human and I'll transfer you, like, and they lay
Oh,
it out up front, stuff like that, because you can do that. Like we can have it so
okay.
that it warm transfers via, if it's a phone call, or it'll send a notification to a human via text or via chat to jump in and answer things if needed. So you're not locked into, oh, I've got to talk with AI only, right?
Okay.
And but the quality of the conversation isn't robotic, it sounds realistic, and that really helps add to the illusion that you are talking to a human. And at the end of the day, like, perception is reality, and so if we feel like we're talking to a human, like, we're going to feel good about it. And so
Yeah, the second that put me at ease. I was like, it knows my pauses. It's gonna giggle like me. It's going to know my brain, right? But I think we've also used it enough, most of us, like even just chat, to
yep.
where you're like, oh, I actually know this is possible. Like my
Yep.
chat knows me, right? My chat GPT knows me. If I type in EBU, if I type in methylene blue, it gives me back the information it knows I've been searching for months now. And
Yep.
so it does learn your patterns and it learns the way that you speak and it learns the types of materials that you're trying to create or even just research articles, right? Studies and stuff. It'll pull those up for me automatically now because it just knows that's what I'm going to ask it to do. So
Yeah.
there's definitely an intelligence there. The second thing that I mean, I ended up buying this from you because I'm like, not only do I want the response to be ideal and timely and based on what I would say anyway, and save me time, and some of that time is just hiring somebody to do it. Like I could, there's reasons to hire and reasons not to hire, but if you've got the budget for it, you got the need for it, you could go hire, but what is that? Like the second I say those words, I'm like, oh my gosh, hiring somebody and like going through this process of finding that person and then interviewing them and then hiring them and then training them. And then you're like, I'd rather just figure it out myself and possibly lose some clients. So, like, there's that. But then there's also that you can be sneaky. And so these are all essentially, and this now becomes like marketing business language, not medical, but, um, there's potential purchase, sale
Yep.
in every interaction that we have. And so, and again, how do you find the receptionist that also knows how to be sneaky, that's also going to start gathering information, that's going to put it in your CRM and start marketing to them in a really compassionate and educational way? Like, does that person even exist? So the fact that you could optimize those responses to potentially get more business as long as you assured me that it's real, that it's human, that they have the option for human, and that I'm not misusing the information.
Hmm.
I was like, yes, it's a go. And for me, that probably saves. yeah, like our advertisement said, probably 15, 20 hours a week if somebody else can do that for me. But again, hiring that person isn't going to save me time for another 6 months, probably, if you actually hire the person.
Yeah. And where we can, we so I'm not a big fan of AI like replacing humans. It should be an augmenter. But at the same time, if we can avoid hiring or delay hiring by building our own AI employees to help out with stuff, then that gives, from a business standpoint, you have more cash on hand, you have more resources that you can reinvest in things. Like anytime we can avoid incurring a big fixed expense like a salary or payroll or things like that,
Exactly.
like the faster we can grow as a business. And so when I say AI employees,
Yeah, I'm
I
glad
think,
that's where I want to go next because that's what you offered me. That's what you told me. You even had
yeah.
this example of this functional medicine practice who calls you up and says, our marketing director or marketing person just fell off the face of the planet. You're like, give me a couple hours and I'll put together some social media posts and some blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? Like, you can be a marketing director in a couple of hours and start producing content completely relevant to me?
Yep. Yeah. So for that client, this was fun. And I took it on as like a challenge. Like anytime somebody throws something like that, I'm like, how can I solve this with automations and AI? Right. To the nail, everything is a hammer, or to a hammer, everything's a nail, is I
Yeah.
think the saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
um, but I was so what we did for them is first things first, I built a functional medicine expert AI, right? So it's a custom GPT in OpenAI that I essentially built it a job description, gave it the parameters that it had X amount years experience, and this is what it focused on, and here's the locale, and here's the ideal client, and all that type of stuff, right? And so that became then my go-to collaborator to then create and hire the functional medicine CMO AI, right? So I just said, hey, I need a job description for this, and so Chat and I then got together and we built another AI employee that was the CMO, that was an expert in functional medicine, but through the lens of marketing. And what I would do is I'd then collaborate with that CMO and say, here's what we need to do for the month of December, and help me create a marketing plan. And I need these types of content. And I've got a marketing background, so I knew what to ask for, but I could still have built it to be like, tell me what I need to do. and
Yeah.
and I said, I need you to build me this plan. And it created the plan. And then I have a project management AI employee I built. And I said, I need you to turn this plan into tasks and tell me which employees I need to hire to execute it. And so it did. It's like, here's the project management plan for this month, here's the employees that you need in order to execute these tasks. And then I said, which of these can I turn into AI employees? And it was like 8 out of 10. I was like, awesome. Generate the job description so I can go hire these people. I find that when I tell it I'm going to go hire a person versus build me a job description for an AI, it builds a much more robust thing. And then,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's so these are little hacks you learn along the way. But then I had it build me the job descriptions, and then I turned those into the system prompts, and I built a team of 8 other AI employees. And so I got to the point where I'm like, great, the project manager gave me the task. I took the task, I'd copy it and paste it into this bot. The bot would then do the task. And then I'd paste that into a QA bot I built. It would then say, nope, this is wrong, this is right, whatever it is. So I just ended up doing a lot of orchestration, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. But after I had built that all out, it only took me about an hour to create 4 2,000 word blog posts that were clinical in nature and had all the citations and everything from journals and studies. It wrote me weekly emails that referenced those blog posts. It wrote me um, I think 20 different social posts per channel. So I had Instagram reels and carousels and all this type of stuff. And that they had an actual social media manager. So I just gave that to her or to him, and he ran with it. And then it created scripts for videos that we could then drop into HeyGen or another tool to generate videos if we needed. And it generated the monthly newsletter and the paid ads campaigns that I was able to give to their paid ads manager to run. And we just put everything in one Google Doc, and then it was it. Like, and once I went through the system once, That was in September. Then I did it again in October. And then I just finished November's and December's yesterday. And it took me maybe 4 hours because December is like double the amount of work because they're doing like a 12 days of health and giving and stuff like that. But yeah, it was awesome. And I was like, this would have taken me all month 5 years ago to have to do this all manually. I would have had to hire copywriters. I would have had to hire designers. I would have been on Fiverr and Upwork, like researching and hiring and trying to find things because I don't have a marketing team anymore because I don't do the marketing agency stuff anymore. And so I would have been collaborating and then feedback and like, oh, just the amount of time that would have taken and money. And I couldn't have done this for them that way because all it cost me was 2 hours of my time, right? Versus 20 hours of project management across five other people. Like the amount of it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
As you're talking, I don't know if I feel anxiety towards the list of stuff you just went through. Excitement at the fact, like, I'm like, are you guys listening to this? Like, he
but
created an entire marketing team
the
to do
cherry on
all the
top,
things.
the cherry on top is I've done that for 3 months. And then I learned about vibe coding. I kind of dismissed vibe coding for a while. Vibe coding is using AI to build software applications, right? And it's kind of been a toy up until about 2, 3 months ago. And then I was like, I wonder if I can build my own software that is a marketing team in a box. Like I give it the brand standards guide, I give it the offers and everything. I train it on the voice, like I give it the foundational stuff I did for these individual AIs. And so I started on that last week. And yeah, in about 2 hours, I built a prototype software that I can say, this is what I need. And then it generates all the content for me and I don't have to do the copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And so I'm like, this is so cool. Like, this is
Yeah, and
awesome.
this goes back to what we were saying is like this is not something I'm ever going to master, but to know that you can do it and you know all the different tools to pull from to create it and then to just get a product that then you could turn over to your person to post online or something or
Yeah.
your I mean that's again like it's worth paying for. That still is so much less expensive than trying to hire a marketing team and who is doing all the project management and who's coming up with the content. I mean, that's the thing. Like
Oh,
we say, your marketing is only as good as the content you create, and that has to come from you because no marketing team is going to know what you do in your business. They're not going to know the nuances to FDA, to HIPAA, to peptide prescription, and how you can say that online. Like, no marketing company is going to know that. I don't care who you hire.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
now you can actually stay so much more compliant with so much less time and productive, right? Like in a couple hours, you've got marketing for November and December. Like it's just been unheard of up to this point.
And and the stuff that was once reserved for enterprise or mid-sized companies is now available to small businesses, right? Sub
Yeah,
50
that's a good
million.
point too.
Like, so a brand standards guide, if you needed that, like anytime you needed a logo redesigned or anything like that, like branding agencies would instantly, it starts at 50,000, right? And it's like, or give me an hour and your Google reviews, and I can build you like your customer profile, and then I can build your brand standards guide, and then we can put that all together in and you can then train a bot that can be your brand standards QA. So every time you write an email or you write a blog post, you just run it through the bot and it'll say, here's how I would change it. Want me to do it? And then it changes it, makes it so it's on brand every time. Or don't use these words because in your brand standards guide, we don't say these things, right? So like I helped with ops with um uh yeah, special education adoption agency type of thing, right? And there's words all the time in that community that become off limits very quickly. And even special education is something you're not supposed to say. But I had a brand standards bot I built to help with that because I was in charge of creating some of the content as well, and it helped me avoid a
That's
lot of that stuff.
That's even the harder part about marketing is what are those keywords? What are people
Yeah,
searching for? What is it that and we're so biased to our own things. We often want to say functional medicine and maybe now that's more of a thing, but you have to know what the public's searching for and it's
yeah,
would take you months of even trial and error, right? Like marketing's all about putting out so much stuff and then tracking it and seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, tweaking it in the moment. Like there's so much to actually not just creating it, but then seeing if it's actually working. and then pursuing what does work. And now, probably in a matter of seconds, you could find that out.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
I'm, yeah.
you had a great lead in to what my next question was, which is what's the information that anybody listening here needs to have to provide to somebody like you to actually create this? You mentioned, I mean, we talked about emails and SMS. Do you have to give access to patient information? Is it your CRM? Is it your EMR? I mean, and I asked you too, like, do they like video? Does it like text? Does it like, like what information do we have to gather to be able to give to AI to utilize?
Yeah. So like I said, AI is nothing more, and I downplay it a lot, but it's nothing more than superpowered pattern recognition. So we need stuff to give it so it can develop a pattern persona for its purpose. So, for example, if we need to create a blog writing bot for you, it's helpful to have 10 to 15 blog posts that you've written so that it can start to learn what your type of pattern is and whatnot. And so, which is great. Like you can then use just speech to text technology, right? Like record something, brain dump everything you want to talk about, and then give it to the bot and it'll format it into a blog post for you to edit. Like that's awesome. For video, you typically need to have some sort of, you need to record 2 to 5 minutes of yourself talking, smiling, eyebrows, facial expressions, things like
Pausing,
that, pausing, yeah, all that.
etc.
And then the AI tools can then generate an avatar of yourself. And they used to be very robotic. Like 2 years ago, when HeyGen, who's kind of the leader in this right now, first launched, they just had talking heads, very sterile talking heads. Now they're extremely expressive and conversational. They feel very real, and which is good. We want that. We want that to put people at ease and actually have them not get hung up on the messenger, but focus on the message. And
Mm.
so there's a couple of like AI gurus that I follow. Their entire YouTube channel is completely AI generated, and they've given their AI persona their own name, right? So like there's one gal I follow, her name is Julia, and she created an AI avatar and she calls it Dr. Julia McCoy, and she wears like a Star Trek uniform and everything in that. And so that's how people know in her audience that it's her AI talking versus her talking, right? And the content's great. Like that's the thing she talks about is she focuses 100% on making excellent quality content. So you don't care that AI is delivering it to you, right? And so yeah, we just need patterns, like information, data, stuff like that. So we don't need client information per se. We can take client information, and as long as it's anonymous, like there's still pattern and stuff in there that you can do. You can also take like a lot of what we'll do is instead of having identifiable information, you'll just assign a unique user ID to that person and to their account. And so anything that's tied to that isn't tied to them per se. It's just tied to that fictional ID. And then that allows us to then crunch the numbers and figure out like what are the patterns we're seeing amongst your client base and all that type of stuff. But it's pretty deep and pretty far into any relationship before we get to that point. But yeah, for the most part, it's just we need a website. If you've got a built out website, we need FAQs. We need just the fun. What do you sell? Like, what services do you provide? Do you have any provider information or on the services that you offer? Right, and that's enough to get started. And I'm a huge fan of the done is better than perfect methodology or mentality, right? 80%, the 80/20 rule. Let's get launched, let's get live, let's get data. And then we can refine that final 20%. So it doesn't need to be perfect per se to get any of these AI bots up and running.
So what do you see? Well, I had two thoughts. One is you shared with me, maybe it's that same clinic that you ran some sort of marketing thing and you got them several
Oh,
IV
yeah.
sales that day or that week, I mean. So a little bit on that. And then I was going to ask, what do you see as the biggest challenges for a functional medicine practice bringing in AI?
The first big challenge is usually um it's it's change management. Like it's making sure everybody on the team understands that we're bringing in a tool to help them do their job better, not to replace them.
Oh my
And
gosh,
then
this is literally why I asked the question. I was like, I feel like anybody who's an owner right now goes back to their team is like, we're bringing in AI and they're going to be a receptionist and they're going to be a marketing director and we're going to create all these positions.
yeah,
Instantly, your team gets a little worried and defensive.
yeah, and it's got to be presented in a way that it's like we're bringing AI to help free you up from the rote and mundane parts of your job, because that's what AI is best at, right? Like if we built every single employee in a clinic their own AI assistant, they would be able to operate one at about 10 IQ points higher than they actually are, and they'd also be able to operate about 2 to 5 times more effectively than they are right now. And effectiveness is what matters, right? Effectiveness over efficiency, in my opinion. Because if you do something effective, you don't have to do it multiple times over and over and over again. And most of the time, that's what we as humans have to do, is repeat things because we messed up. So if you position it that way, as we're going to one teach you the skills you need to use these tools so they can help you do your job better, and then two, that's going to free you up to do the things that you need to do, right? And what is it that everybody wants to do in a clinic? Most people in medical space are in it to help people, right? And they want to spend their time with their patients or building relationships or talking or having the time to do that above and beyond phone call or birthday wish or whatever it is, right? And so if we can take stuff off of their plate and use AI to help do that, then that helps you one have a competitive advantage because you are the more caring clinic, right?
And
So
responsive. I mean,
yeah.
so many, I've been saying for years we have such an opportunity to be great in functional medicine or general medicine or now precision medicine, whatever you want to call it, because regular medicine sucks. Like
Yep.
I just had to experience it with my mom. I just went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor's appointment with her, and it's just, and yet we all suck at it, right? It's like it's a lot to coordinate every patient's needs, like we mentioned. Did their scans come in? Did their chart get emailed to the specialist? Did their test results come in? Did their supplement come in? They got diagnosed with this or lab said this. Like those things are very hard to coordinate well, but if we can do it well, then people will pay for that. And
Yeah.
that is the mundane in medicine, I think.
Yeah. And the thing, like the expectation I always have to reset is because AI is sold and marketed as the end all be all like solution, like it's going to take your job, it's going to replace you, it's going to do all that type of stuff. So there's lots of this kind of like overhype when in reality it's just faster better. Like it's just more faster better. It is what it is. Just like the internet sped up our ability to communicate over mail, right, where we're able to communicate faster and therefore move faster. It's the same thing with AI. Like for example, like if I wanted to, I could do all the research, I could do customer research, I could do market research, I could do all this stuff, and then I can take all that information and then go build a software application tonight and launch it tonight and market it tonight. Whereas that used to be, I had to go and get a VC firm to fund me, and then I had to build a team and hire and find the developers. And we're 3 years into it before we're actually like making money. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, do you mind if I share my experience with that? I'm literally in that spot.
oh
And
yeah,
so many people listening here have been hearing me say for close to 5 years that I'm going to launch this app. And what it is it's a an outcome, a clinical outcome, IV outcome, data collector, right? So we teach a lot of IV therapy. We have what, 10, 20 different IVs. Patients come in for their treatment plans. They're getting 10 treatments, 10 IV treatments. How do we track their results? How do we know from IV to IV to IV? How they're feeling, how they're doing, and what are we even trying to measure? Because the provider themselves is not oftentimes the one administering that IV. And
mm-hmm.
so then they see the patient to begin with, then they might get 10 IVs or even other services. And then they come back for a report of findings visit or their labs came back or whatever. And how do you actually pull all that together? Not only that, but I wanted to use that information and create some standard of care. So if we have these 5 set IV protocols and we administer it to 500 people, what's the outcome? Does Myers cocktail actually improve somebody's energy? And what percentage of the time? Is it mental energy, physical energy? Like, so about 5 years ago, I found somebody in functional medicine who was going to help me build this out. He quoted me $100,000 and I didn't get to keep the information. So all the data points that we collect from patients, he wanted to store it in his database because, and what's that called? External hard drive or something. Um,
Hmm.
and because he said that was the expensive part. Well, he stole the idea and he made it for a very well-known EMR that we have. I won't mention any names. And it wasn't quite the same, but he took the idea and even though we'd signed non-competes and whatever. So then I'm like, okay, a year later, I'm going to do it again. And I've been telling you guys, I'm going to have this app. I'm going to collect data. I'm going to create standard of care. And we're going to see if these IVs, even if it's just for your 100 patients, see if this is actually working. Because that's one of the biggest questions we get is, what's the science, but does it actually work? Does it work to give methylene blue? And everybody wants to know what's the science. I'm like, well, let's collect real data. Anyway, so I did it again. And just like you were saying, I found a software company that builds applications for the medical community. And it was now $50,000 because I cut it in half. I was like, let's do first phase. So
Hmm.
$50,000 now. I met with a designer from India who was great and they put out this whole plan and I still was like, this is so much money, so much time. I don't even know if this is going to work yet. So then I went to this like do it yourself version and it was like let's create it in it's just the patient evaluation form that is on the platform that everybody uses. I'm going to put that into Survey Monkey. And then I'm going to give everybody an iPad, every patient if you're a practice, you would give them you give this iPad to the patient, have the patient fill it out because it really is a SOAP note. And then that data is going to go into SurveyMonkey, and I'm going to somehow extract this to be able to say again, if somebody gets 10 mLs and then 20 mLs and then 30 mLs of poly and VA, their sleep goes up, their pain comes down. Like that's what I'm trying to coordinate. And
Yeah.
also each provider gets to say, Mrs. Smith, after these 5 IVs, here's how you reported. Um, anyway, and then that was also plenty of work and just right as MedMasters was dissolving, I was about ready to do that. And so I came to Pete again and I was like, I have this idea. And it seems like AI should be able to create the app, and analyze the data that comes from there for both the industry to see if IV is working well and also you as a provider in your practice to look at individual patient um, information. So when you're sitting in front of them, you can say, yes, Mrs. Smith, you reported after 10 IVs that you're feeling this way. And it just instantly populates. So the provider's not looking through sheets and sheets and sheets or notes and notes and notes, whether they be digital in an EMR or whether they be on paper or however you do it. And we're able to build this. I'm going to use it in my practice tomorrow for the first time. But we got some of these sheets I've been using on paper, put them in there. Matt's been helping me do all of this and he listened to your webinar, used some tools, and we have an app. I don't know how much time he's put into it because he's new to AI, probably more than you would have. But I don't know if it's cost us hardly anything and it's taken a couple of weeks.
I think he said before the call it cost like $100 in credits,
I don't even
right?
know what
But
that means. He did say that.
yeah.
I don't know what credits are, but and but that like whole long history of 5 years and potentially spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and we did it in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So you went from $100,000 to $100. It's just
If if that
it's
hundred
awesome.
thousand dollars would have even gotten me a result. So this again just a good example of if you guys have ideas, if there's things in your practice where you're like, if only I had this tool, or if only I had an assistant who could do this, or if only I could hire 3 people to do this, then meet with Pete, tell him what those gaps are, pick his brain on can AI do this and how does that work, and then Pete will also give you whatever those AI platforms are, and there is a question in here on that, like specific platforms for answering phones or for EMR or for
Hmm.
CRM or for video. I think you've got probably a top 10 or 15, AI systems that you're like, okay, for that
Yeah,
I'd go here, for that I'd go here. But if it's not your jam to master AI, then the thing is it's so affordable because you can do it so fast too to manufacture whatever it is we need.
yeah, yeah, definitely. To answer, Bree's got the question, like, what are the platforms and AI
Yeah.
systems? There are a bunch. Like our platform, Exit Loop AI, has an AI receptionist built into it, but there's a lot of different tools out there. Syllabi is one that I know of that's
Say
also
that
really
again.
good.
Syllabi.
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 Yeah, I'll compile a couple links and I'll drop them. Solium is another one that's specific for healthcare, and but the things that make them specific for healthcare are usually they just have a general knowledge base that's healthcare specific that they've trained it on. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be specific to your clinic or your, like, if it might be traditional medicine versus functional medicine, right? um but yeah, most of them do the same thing. They answer phone calls 24/7. They can do bookings. Most of them can integrate with practice management software as well. uh, with the specific functional medicine clinic, they've got their practice management software, and then they've got um, our software for sales and marketing and content and everything like that. And so, and then we just connect them via API so that anything that happens in that software gets pushed over and vice versa, right? And HIPAA compliance is in play and everything as well. But yeah,
So
there's
tell us
loads
the
of stuff.
one more case study of what you did to generate whatever it was, 12
Oh
IV
yeah, that's
sales
right.
or something.
Some of the things we've done are just like they're just simple like business stuff. They're not even like super powered AI things, but AI has made it easier to do them. So like we will do database reactivation campaigns using our software. And what that is you have a huge database, and in that there's lots of little gold nuggets. Like everybody who buys from you, they're like the 2% that are actually ready statistically to buy at that time. Like everything's lined up for them to actually be ready to move forward. And so for this client, they had, I don't know, overstock of IVs that they needed to get rid of. And so we're like, great, let's just run a database reactivation campaign. So we used their AI bot that we have, that's their brand standards bot, knows their offers, things like that. And like, help me craft the messaging for this. So I didn't have to think about it. And it crafted the messaging. We then built out the workflow, which was just a simple, hey, we've got a bunch of these and we need to get rid of them by Friday. We're doing this percentage. Would you be interested, or should we save one for you? That type of thing. And then they reply yes. And when they reply yes, the automations take over and communicate with them and say, hey, excellent. Well, let's go ahead and get you booked. Does this time work or this time work? Like, and then, or I think, oh, in this case, we just sent them a link and said, go ahead and pay. And they bought. And then once they bought, we just said, great, come on in and let's get you scheduled. It was that simple. And for them, I think they made an extra, I think it was $1,600 that week, which isn't a ton of money, but it was money they wouldn't have had otherwise had they not run the campaign. And they would have just, had their stock go bad and go have to throw it away.
Well,
So
yeah, you put it in perspective, it's not bad. So, and I had to, when he told me this, I was like, okay, what does that mean for IV therapy? I'm like, at $1,800, that's about, or 60, what did you say?
I think it was like 1,600 is what they
1,600. So
did.
they're about a couple hundred
Yeah.
dollars a piece. So that's 8 IVs.
Hmm.
And so they had, what that means to me is it wasn't like a treatment plan. It wasn't a package. It was just somebody saying, I want to come in this week for an IV.
Yep.
But but the lead generation that can come from that, right? I'm not a huge fan. I mean, the franchise model of getting people off the street and all this other stuff, like there's a place for that in functional medicine or in private practices where we have so much to offer and so much overhead too. I'm not a huge fan of that, but the lead gen on somebody's raising their hand and saying, I want to go to you for that IV. Now
Hmm.
the opportunity to influence them into all the services you provide, the functional medicine
Yeah.
testing and the peptides and the hormone replacement therapy and the human cellular tissue products, just by getting them in your door to get an IV when there's obviously a lot of other places to go. That was impressive to me. That's 8 really warm leads in your
Yeah.
office because they chose to get an IV with you.
And I think they upsold those that came in. I think they closed another like 8,500 or something in
Exactly.
services,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so
Like coming
and
from
that and
Emily Blue, but did you know we do this IV and this
yep.
IV and this IV? Yeah.
Yeah, because you kind of got a captive audience when you're just sitting in an IV
Yes,
chair.
yes,
So
that's a great part about that space is there's a lot of great things about it, but yes, captive audience.
but yeah, so those are the types of things we just look for and help get set up. The thing is, once you set it up once, like you're golden. You got a process or a system you can run anytime you need just to make a little extra cash or generate some traffic through the door or whatever it is, right? So that's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, I think all in all, I'm learning to just utilize it where it makes sense. And even if all you're doing is something like Chat GPT, use it often and teach you know have your staff use it, have them figure out how to do it. And I don't know if you do any type of like
Mm-hmm.
teaching courses on that, but like our practice Ridgeline Longevity and Aesthetics here in Idaho Falls, they don't do email campaigns. They do have an SMS program though, because they do aesthetics. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of aesthetic companies, they'll have these 3 to 4 monthly texts for promos. You get both, buy one unit, get one free, or whatever it is. I'm not a Botox user, but something like that. So I said, all right, so can we use that same software to send some messages about IB? Because we haven't done any marketing in IB yet. And I went into ChatGPT and I was like, so write 4 SMS messages under 300 characters for this type of patient on the subject of ozone I even got in, I said, using Alex Hormozzi's technique of sales and
Yes.
offer. And it gave me 4 texts that as I reviewed, I was like, done. I couldn't have said it better myself after reading his books 30,000 times and trying to master
Mm-hmm.
Alex's way and knowing a lot about sales and marketing and knowing a lot. Like it was great. I turned him over to the girl. She posted them into the SMS and, and things like have a call to action, educational, use it. Okay, on the flip side of that though, for anybody listening who's like, I need an expert in my life to make some AI employees or, bring in 8 leads for me this week. Where do they go to reach you? What do they need to consider and look at? And I think you even talked about a special offer for the people listening.
Yes. So they can go to our website. They can go to exitloop.ai. We've got book now buttons everywhere, book my call, and they can just jump into any one of those, which is great. And for those who do come in, what did I put together? Um, we've got an AI clinic assistant GPT that I've built that I'll give to everybody for free.
Oh,
It's going to be it's not going to be tailored to your audience or to your clinic per se, but it's going to be industry relative. So it'll be awesome. Like usually to build out these AI assistants is anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000. So that's the value of that we're going to give to everybody. And then for those who actually sign up, one of the things we're going to throw in is, and we don't include this right now in any of our packages, but we are putting together some a software tool that allows you to do DIY ads, so Facebook ads, Google ads, things like that. Um, it's we've simplified the process down to be stupid simple. So all you do is you put in like select the ad template you want, what your budget is, and hit go, right? 3 steps, and you've got ads live. And so we did that because we want to help people save money on marketing that frankly they can just do themselves. Like that's kind of been my whole shtick. Like, where can AI help me save money everywhere? And so instead of spending $1,500 or $25,000 to an ads agency, this tool will allow you to do it yourself and generate leads through those things as well. So we're just going to give that to everybody who signs up for free as part of that. So, and that's about $1,000 a month value just for that software. So that's what we got.
and amazing. Okay, so go to exitloopai.com.
Exitloop.ai
.ai, of
and
course.
click on book my call.
And then you'll end up in a and that's a Calendly invite or whatever, right? Choose your time,
Yeah.
meet with Pete,
Yep.
um, get a little personal on what your practice gaps are. He'll explain the software that you're going to get as well. And if you sign up for any of the programs, you'll get the additional software to do some
Yep.
marketing on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll throw that in for free and walk you through how to use it and all that type of stuff. And it's so easy that you could just have one of your office, like your front desk or somebody like that, run it for you if you wanted. And so
All right, I'm gonna have my practice manager sign it.
we're throwing it in with yours too. So because we want you to use it.
Dr. Duggar just said the links on your site don't work.
What?
That would be bad. Um, nice to see you, Dr. Duggar.
Yeah. The white book my call at the very top should I just clicked on it and it takes you
And it
to
worked.
and it works just fine. So I'll
Yeah.
also send out a link. We'll send out a link in the with the replay announcement and stuff like that too. And so
All right. Well, thanks a ton, Pete. I know your kids are waiting for your culinary skills at the moment. Your wife let you come be on with us tonight, just for the 1 hour, but you gave us so much information and appreciate your time, your expertise, and really encourage everybody listening, at least make the call with Pete, find out what the tools are available to you, figure out where it's going to save you 15 to 20 to 25 hours. And what if it saved all of your staff 15 hours a week? Like
oh
it could
yeah.
just be so cool and it can be so simple too. So encourage you to give him a call and thanks for attending. We're gonna have our next mastermind is in a couple weeks, the EBU mastermind, but our next webinar is going to be with a company who they are one of the approved stem cell companies in Florida. We talked to Jeff Cohen a month ago or something, and we talked about the laws changing in Florida. This is one of those manufacturing companies that's going to talk to us specifically about their products. So I'm excited for them too. Jeff got us hooked up, and their products are phenomenal. But this is being recorded. If you need any more information, you can listen to it again. However, just go to exitloop.ai, book your call with Pete, and get all your free stuff, and at least try it out and see how it works for you.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Pete.
This was so much fun.
It was a joy. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Likewise. I'll see you later.
Take care.